Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. So the ANC throwing its weight behind the continued use of Operation Vulindlela. You might remember this is a joint initiative between National Treasury and the Presidency to try and revitalise South Africa's crumbling municipalities. Operation Vulindlela was started back in 2020 and has already hit most of its policy reform targets. We just thought we should take a moment to take stock of what's being done under this initiative. Bring in Political Analyst Sandile Swana, who joins us now via our video link. Mr. Swana, great to have you on the SABC as always. Thanks very much indeed for making time to speak to us. You know, in the midst of the many divergent views that exist under the GNU, which is of course the dispensation of the day, it seems more political parties, if not all of them, seem to find convergence under Operation Vulindlela. And I wonder, to what extent do you reckon this is the actual thing that's going to move us forward?
Thank you, Ayanda, and good morning to your viewers. I think that the idea of Operation Vulindlela is a good idea. The problem is that I may not necessarily be as enthusiastic about its track record as some people are. And not to say that things cannot be corrected. They can be corrected and they should be corrected. For an instance, one of the biggest problems is the ability of municipalities, more than 100 of them, to be able to pay on time their debts to Eskom. And in the period that you mentioned, from 2020 until now, the debt owing to Eskom, and as far as I'm aware, has moved from 35 billion or so to about 75 billion. So it has more than doubled the debt itself. That in itself then needs to be traced to the audit outcomes and overlaid with those audit outcomes. And then you'll find that those municipalities that owe the water authorities and the power utilities are by and large the same ones that are classified as dysfunctional and financially distressed, evaluated by the Auditor General as such.
Yeah, look, if we're going to have reform, the change is going to have to be quite deep and rigorous, wide-stretching, if you like. And given how mammoth that task is, I wonder strategically where you reckon those who are driving this initiative should start.
Yes, the initiative, to whatever depth it goes, that Professor Somadoda Fikeni is busy with, of professionalizing the civil service, is pertinent. I was part of the team that started that teaching. I was one of the teachers on those programs in 2007. But we discovered that till today, there's not one single minister of local government that has sought to remove the people who don't qualify to work for local government and install those who do. Similarly, the political parties, including the African National Congress, has not been able to prevent people who do not qualify to be councillors in the municipalities and put in those who do qualify on a number of indicators. So these people now are causing the municipalities to fail to the degree that they are failing, which is a dismal degree. The councillors in the main who are not supposed to be there at all, but who are there on the basis of patronage.
Yeah, and we've seen just how much that patronage could affect the running of municipalities. In some instances, it costs people's lives, people being shot and killed for tenders, for example, when in fact that money should be going to fixing these municipalities. In my mind, and this might be an obvious point to make, but still worth making, government won't be able to get this right alone. You know, there needs to be a fair amount of law enforcement that comes on board, and dare I say, buy-in from communities in order to finally shift the dial and get us to the right trajectory.
Yes, it's a big leadership question. For instance, when councillors who are generally corrupt go to communities, and their political organizations don't stop them, when they go to communities to facilitate illegal connections of water, illegal connections of electricity and non-payment, and fail to register people on indigent registers, whereby if you are not working, you should actually be on the indigent register. And on top of that, for the government to deliver services, the local economic development side of the municipality should be one of the strongest, because to create a capable state, you need a capable population that is productive every day, that is working, that has got money to pay for services. And it's hard to find in South Africa a municipality that is successful in local economic development at this point in time.
Yeah, speaking about that level of productivity, I mean, we've come from times where a number of businesses were stationed in municipalities, of course. And over the past couple of years, many of them have simply packed up and left because they feel they can't run a growing concern amid the level of dysfunction. How does government start to woo back players in the private sector who play such an integral part in making sure there's economic activity and ultimately progression in these municipalities?
Yes, and there is a package that businesses look for, and it's not the first time that we've been here. What we got up to 2008 were packages. Some of those packages were prepared by ESCOM, some were prepared by the Department of Water Affairs to make sure that for economic reasons, there is a package for every type of business and every type of community. And in the past 15 years, those things have been eroded. So the so-called GNU has got to identify places where they can start to install those packages, to say in Lichtenberg, we have now restored electricity and water and the roads and everything that is needed for investment, and go on like that, making sure that they can tell the business community that the packages are back in place and well supported and well maintained. That can be done. I believe the intervention that they've made in Durban, just remove those comrades that are useless there, and the comrades that are corrupt need to be removed with great urgency, and then professionals move in there and start packaging investments for investment purposes.
You know, Mr. Swana, it's easier said than done, dare I say. We know that those comrades, as you cite them, are unlikely to take this lying down. And again, we have data to substantiate this. You know, the so-called fight back, even within the ANC, has come at a tremendous cost.
There is going to be a tremendous cost. You see, the thing about it is that when it is time for change like this, it's a do or die moment. And you cannot have cowards leading the country, starting with the state president. You have to come in and say, comrades, we've fiddled with the country enough. We've made a mess of it. You've demonstrated your corruption. You've demonstrated your incompetence.
Oh dear, what a pity. Looks like our connection there to Sandile Swana has somewhat been interrupted, but I think the point he makes is well made. The ANC's own officials have admitted that they've reached a point of do or die, so to speak, and will have to try in one way or the other to make sure that they shift the trajectory of the organization if, in fact, they're going to manage to hang on to the levers of power. Sandile Swana, of course, a political analyst, as we continue watching what happens next insofar as Operation Vulindlela is concerned.